Today's video is something new to this channel. It is what I consider to be an emotional check-in. Myers-Briggs personality type is INFP, and my Enneagram type is Enneagram type 4. So I seem to be pretty concerned with emotions a lot of the time. I also used to love to write, and a lot of my writing was pretty introspective. In high school, I actually did consider going to college for creative writing. I thought that this would be an extension of all of that. In this series, I'm going to be focusing on different emotions. Honestly, I think it would be kind of hard to run out of different emotions to talk about. I mean, there's a lot of words that describe similar emotions, but at the same time, every emotion has its own unique variation. So, two words that describe similar emotions, they're not describing the exact same emotion. What gave me this idea, honestly, was like OG YouTube. A lot of the first YouTubers were pretty introspective themselves, and I wanted to give that quality back to YouTube. There used to be this element to YouTube where it was like you could travel without a passport. And for me, being stuck in this rural area, it gave me a lot of hope for the future, honestly. But there was also this other element of YouTube that was a lot more introspective than what we see now. It was before the big brands realized how profitable they could be from getting different YouTubers' perspectives on their products. It was before YouTube was so corporate. So this series just seemed pretty nostalgic to me. Anyway, I'm not gonna rant about that anymore. I could definitely talk about how old YouTube was just so different from today's YouTube, but I guess that's another video for another day. Today's video is an emotional check-in, and the emotion that I wanted to focus on today was frustration. You can be frustrated by basically anything, any type of stimuli or object on Earth. You can be frustrated by other people, by technology, by just about anything that is tangible. And obviously, there's all the other stuff that's intangible, like confusion, or when you're trying to learn something new, like math. I've lost count of the amount of times that I was frustrated by math in this lifetime, and I'm sure that that number will keep going up the older that I get. Recently, though, since Apple's released their new iPhone, I feel like they've been causing me to get technically frustrated with my phone more often than usual to try to convince me to upgrade. It is a conspiracy theory that I have, and I don't have any proof for it, but it's also something that happens whenever you have a phone for a few years and suddenly you're getting weird pop-ups, or the screen doesn't work, or whatever, and you need to restart your phone 7 times within 30 minutes. I feel like that is Apple doing something on purpose to try to sell you another phone. I've also been having a lot more technical difficulties, especially related to like storage on my computer and my phone, because I'm trying to make content more often. Really, I'm starting to think that creating content is a rich person's hobby, because you have to afford the space to store all the junk that you're creating. Also, this week, the last week of September, I have been really frustrated by Duolingo because I was in a classroom and they have stopped offering unlimited hearts to people in classrooms. So that's really frustrating. I'm having to go back to watching ads. Frustration is a very human experience. It's the experience of someone who feels like they should know their bodies pretty well, but when they try to do something on the physical plane, especially if it's for the first time, things don't always go as planned. It can be frustration over something as simple as giving a speech or a presentation in class and things don't go according to plan, or it could be related to your emotions. If you're someone who tends to get really anxious in certain situations, you could be so frustrated with yourself because of the involuntary responses that your body has because of your emotions. You could be frustrated with another person because you don't understand their perspective. You don't understand the reasons for their behavior. A lot of the time, communication is complicated. Understanding another person can be one of the most frustrating things that you've ever had to do. A lot of the time, though, the more that you do something, the less frustrating it seems, the less overwhelming it seems. They say that practice makes perfect, and sometimes that's true. Then there's the things that you can't control. You can't control what happens to your body a lot of the time. It's actually a lot more common than people make it seem. You can't control the medical diagnoses that you have or will receive in the future. A good example for me personally was getting diagnosed with celiac disease in middle school. I already had one food allergy, and then suddenly I was diagnosed with celiac disease, and trust me, I would pay $1 million to change that. But unfortunately, with this technology in this century, there's nothing that you really can do about that except change your diet. With celiac disease, you do have to be very strict. It's really intense. You have to worry about cross-contamination. So, for example, if I'm at a restaurant and they fry their fries in the same fryer as onion rings, I can't have the fries because they were touching the onion rings in a heated environment. It has made my life very complicated, especially having multiple food allergies, but obviously I know that some people have more than two, so I know that I shouldn't complain that much about it, but it's just annoying more than anything else, and it frustrates me every day of my life. What frustrates me even more, though, is that doctors and scientists have not yet found a treatment besides eliminating gluten from your diet forever, or at least until they find a cure. And I'm really hoping that they find a cure sooner rather than later. I guess the two remedies to frustration are repetitive behavior and practice, and hope. A lot of life is actually not the circumstances that you were given. It's actually what you do with your circumstances. So you should dig yourself out of the pit of despair and frustration and actually try to change what you can. Most people's biggest hardship is actually making peace with the elements in life that are frustrating, that are uncontrollable. If I had to say what I thought the secret to peace in life is, honestly, I think it's changing your perspective and not focusing so much on the frustrating things that you can't control, but instead focusing on what you can change. Sometimes the small things in life really do matter and can be enjoyed. No matter what, though, whether it's a frustrating situation that you can control over time, or if it's something completely uncontrollable, I think that finding calm in all of that pent-up emotion is the secret to releasing some frustration. Try to enjoy the process of learning to live with frustration and practice what you want more of in your life, because to some degree, I do believe in karma. I think that it does come back to you. So focus on what you want to attract. Stay beautiful.